Yeah. Wow, I caught that perfect. And of course, the next one comes up. Bam. And we'll just remove that. And hey, everybody, welcome to Squatch Talk. I'm Pat. How's everybody doing tonight? Thanks for being here, each and every single one of you. I appreciate it. What's going on? We're gonna talk about Bigfoot a little bit, maybe a little bit of Bigfoot talk. This first live stream, and I don't even know when. You would have to check the tape. You'd have to dig back into the channel and find my last live stream. It was probably quite some time ago, but here I am in the mood. For a good old-fashioned live stream, and it's anything goes. And so I did put some invites out. We'll see what happens. It'd be cool. Be cool to talk to some people, bounce off some people. Otherwise, it might be kind of a short stream. Because, I mean, what's to really talk about? I don't know. A few things, I suppose. There's always something. What's up, Derek? Thanks for being here. Hey, Sandra. And all you other fine people who are not in chat. You're not chatting at all. All 100,000 viewers right now. Raptor, what's up, dude? Raptor's getting it, man. With the emojis. You're getting it with the emojis, bruh. So yeah, here we are. What's going on in the Bigfoot world? What do you guys want to talk about? Like, all of you who are here, right now. Um, let's just kick it off. What's been going on? Um, anything interesting? Has there been any interesting movement in the Bigfoot world? I mean, I've seen some, not not verified, not verifiable as usual, but it's always something, right? I mean, it's always something, but you know what's always there. You know what's always there, and that's the narrative. The Bigfoot narrative is always there. Yet the big guy isn't. What's that all about? The narrative's always there, but the big guy never is. Correct, Derek. I mean, low hanging fruit. You know, I mean, what have I been saying now for I don't know, however long? I can't keep track of time uh properly, but it's like, yeah, it's entertainment. It's like it's pretty much all panned out to be entertainment and entertainment based, and like so I don't know, that could explain why the talkie talk is always there and the actual Bigfoot is never there. I don't know. Maybe it's just all for entertainment purposes only. I don't know. What do you think? Yes, nice sentiment, Raptor, Sandra. I hope you're doing well. It's good to see you in chat. I hope you are well too, Sandra. And thanks for being here and participating in this dying Bigfoot channel. And it's dying. Like I'm so done with it. That's why I'm never on here anymore. But Sandra, you've been here since almost day one, and I appreciate that. I really truly do. Do I what? Who is this? Oh, do you think he is real? Don't give up. Don't give up on what? Wait, Finboy Gaming. Interesting. I haven't seen you here, Finboy. Thanks for showing up. Uh, I have two questions for you. I think. Uh, number one, like, what gaming do you do? What's your gaming status, bro? What do you game? Uh, all right, cool. But your channel is like Finboy Gaming. What do you game? Like what do you game? And man, I'm picking up all kinds of interesting new people, all sorts of stuff. Okay, do you stream? See, this is cool. We're already not talking about Bigfoot shit, and I'm perfectly okay with that. And don't think I didn't miss tornado chasing. You game tornado chasing. I don't understand that. I mean, I just want to know which game. Are you like a COD player, Battlefield? Like you like shooters, or do you like Elden Ring kind of shit? Like, you're gonna go? Okay, you're out. I'm I'm actually like trying to talk about something like you're brand new here, and I'm like trying to include you, but sorry, you gotta go, bro. I get it. Sometimes it's like peace. I'm out. Gotta get gotta get on to the next thing. Totally understood. All right. Well, I'm just curious what you game. Like you said gaming. Like I'm thinking like video games. Do you have a video game channel? Like, I'm interested in that. Now where did this go? Hey, oh, that's well, somebody gave me a heart. Vicky. Vicky gave me a heart. Thanks, Vicky. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. And I appreciate each and every single one of you for being here and watching my silly Bigfoot live stream. I really do. Oh, wait. Where'd it go? Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah. Well, all right. All right. Well, there we go. New comments. Hunter called the wild. Cool, bro. All right. I'm not familiar with that. Um, like the gaming streams I watch mostly are, dude. I love PUBG. I love watching people play PUBG. Like that game, like to watch other people play that game is actually very fun because it's always different. You never know what you're gonna get. So like I've always been into shooters. I play shooters. I've always played COD, like going way back, you know, Call of Duty, which sucks now, but it used to be fun. And then, whatever. Like, but I love watching the military shooters. Like PUBG is my favorite game to watch by far, 100%. And yeah, Red Dead's fun too. Like that's interesting stuff. The GTA community has always been fun. Like the role playing community, like oh my god, that's that shit used to blow my mind. How those guys would do their role playing live streams on GTA, and it was so much fun. Like I haven't watched a good like GTA role play live stream in a while. But man, I used to have so much fun. I would sit there, dude. I would sit there and watch those guys sometimes. I'm not kidding you for like 8 hours. Like anyway, um, but I mean, we should talk about Bigfoot. Um, we'll see. Like, I got a couple of floaters for possible guests, but because of the time difference, um, I'm not sure when they might show up. It might be a minute. We might have to kill a minute before any interesting guests get here. We'll see. Hold on, let me cough real quick before I light my cigarette. You know how it goes. But hey, thanks, Finboy Gaming. Thanks for showing up, and I appreciate you, bro. What's up, Tennessee Cherokee? And yes, thanks, Vicky. Thanks for tuning in, all of you. Each again. No one person is more special than the other here on Squatch Talk. We're all equal. We are all equal. Um, but what's going on? Somebody throw something at me. I got to bounce off something here. Um, just I need a spark for Bigfoot shit. Um, I really do. So somebody throw something. You got a question? Do you want to comment about maybe something I've done like recently? Like, what do you guys think of the those of those of you who have seen it? Like, what do you guys think of the reaction video series? Which is really all I've been putting out there lately is reaction videos. Like, what do you think of that? Any complaints? We could talk about the weather in UK. Okay. Aha, there it is. The multiple sightings in Ohio. Thank you. Thank you, Tennessee Cherokee. And no, I don't know. Like, good luck. Good luck, Derek. Hunker down, my friend. 80-mile-an-hour winds. That's, I mean, like, that happens from time to time here. So, like, it's not some game-changing thing. Um, but this, right, man, I've seen this. Like, this has been the thing that has been plastered on Facebook lately. Is this? Um, and I mean, like my initial reaction, which is really all it could be, it's like I don't even know how deep I could dive into that whole thing. To be honest with you, I guess I could get a little sneaky with it if I wanted to, but um, I mean, my initial reaction is bullshit. You know, the way it was framed was like a fucking Amber Alert or something. And so that's a huge red flag. That's a huge red flag, right? It's like it's framed as this like very important PSA kind of Amber Alert thing, and it's worded all funny. And I mean, and then then you get into the actual again the same thing we always encounter in the Bigfoot world is oh what like oh they're just there, they're just running around, they're just exposing themselves to people like on like this new scale, this new kind of scale we've never seen before. And all I can think is, wow, that's it kind of sounds like a good time to discover them. Like if they're just running around all willy nilly, you know, uh, not being rare and elusive as they would have to be, that sounds like a good time for discovery. So when you measure it up again to the reality stick and all that stuff, it kind of spits out, and the way it was framed, it kind of spits out the same. It's like, okay, this is nonsense, and there's no way to vet it. It's like, well, who are these people? Who are these people making these reports? You're saying this. I don't trust you because I don't trust anybody in the Bigfoot world. Um, it just seems like a bunch of nothing, probably made up, well, one way or another, either on their end or you know, or somebody's fucking with them, or somebody's out there running around in a Bigfoot suit at night fucking with people, and like everything else past that is legit. But Bigfoot is the least likely thing that's going on with this right here, this flurry of Ohio Bigfoot activity. Bigfoot's the least likely thing going on. It's not the most likely thing as it's being framed. It's the least likely thing. And I mean, by a percentage that um, is so small, it's not even like it lands in the virtual zero category. So so yes, I do have thoughts about that, and those are my thoughts. I think it's absolute BS one way or another. I'm just not sure who's full of shit there. And so, with that being said, now things can get interesting. And I could bring this dude in.
Hey.
Hey. All right. Now be interesting.
I forgot how to be interesting.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know if
know.
I
Me
ever really
too.
was interesting, to be honest with you.
Maybe. I don't know. You done some cool shit on a snowmobile, I heard. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. That was in my younger days. I don't I don't do
Yo,
anything
you
cool
don't ride
anymore.
them like that anymore? Oh, come on,
Oh,
dude. You
I
don't take
ride
them
them.
across the
I
you don't
just
take
don't
them
do
across the
anything
lake at
stupid.
100 miles an hour anymore? Really?
Yeah, I mean that's not too crazy though.
Well, shit, what the fuck's crazy on a snowmobile if that's not
Well,
crazy?
jumping off a mountain with it, or stupid stuff like that.
I have no idea. Could you do a
My
wheelie?
problem is I'm just weak with peer pressure. So if I'm riding with some buddies and they're like, "Hey, I bet none of you guys can do this," and then all of a sudden here we go.
Yeah, that whole thing. Yeah, that can get you in trouble real quick.
Well, it's been a while. It's been a while since I flipped a camera on, and definitely been a while since I flipped a camera on with you
Yeah,
online here on YouTube. So,
true story. Mm?
I mean, we talk a lot offline. We keep up with each other, but just hasn't been a whole lot to talk about here.
Well, I mean, there's always something to talk about. It's just yeah, the Bigfoot thing, not so much, right? Um, which I mean, again, you can, what's the flavor of the week, right?
Yeah,
You know,
you were
and
talking about the Ohio sightings. I
yeah,
seen
hmm
what was it, 3 or 4 days ago? I seen there was a sighting in Oklahoma that was like the day before, and the next day they had people investigating this and stuff. But I mean, people there with an agenda, or people there investigating it from a neutral point, or you know
oh, dude, it could be 1,000
are
things.
they looking at for something to talk about online, or are they actually looking for a truth?
And
But
there's no way to vet all that. That's the problem. It's like, are you going to invest hours and hours trying to even vet any of that? It's
yeah,
just a freaking post on Facebook. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And so the problem is that I mean, I look at that, like especially the Ohio thing, like I had just said. It's like the least likely thing it is after everything else is Bigfoot.
yeah.
Because
No,
you have to
I
get
would agree.
you have to go through the people chain of like what the stupid shit people do and how people are, and it might be crazy people, it might be hoax. Like it could be as simple as again a guy in a suit that scared some motorists, and boom, 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 you got reports, right?
Yeah,
And the least likely thing it is a Bigfoot that's just exposing itself over a 3 or 4 day period, making itself completely available for easy discovery at that point, like
yeah,
easy discovery. One 12 gauge shotgun later, dude. This fucking it's all over CNN, you know.
yeah.
So it's the least likely thing. I mean, it always is with this subject. Bigfoot, the idea of an undiscovered primate always falls as the least likely thing that people are talking about.
Well, I mean, no matter how much work you're going to put into it, or how much time you're going to dedicate into the outdoors, it doesn't seem to much matter where you're located or what you're doing at the time. Actually seeing one, whether you actually had it recorded or not, but just seeing one in reality uh, would be like hitting the lottery, if we're going to do the math on how long has it been since I
Yes.
mean, and I don't want to say credible footage because I don't know that any footage that's been recorded is
We don't
credible.
we
I
d
mean,
it's never been confirmed, like, nothing confirmed. Even the
no.
PG film is not
Yeah.
confirmed,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so, I mean, when I asked the, AI gods what the chances were of somebody running into a Bigfoot and, like, based on what their population would have to be is rare,
Mhm.
whatever,
Mhm.
and it was 0.02 is what the AI god said. 0.02% chance.
Yeah.
And that's I mean,
You almost have
yeah,
to scale that into a known set of data by AI. And like, for instance, let's say in North America, how many grizzly bears are there? How many brown bears are there? And let's say whatever number you get,
mhm,
you could say, what's the likelihood of hitting one with a car? And let
right,
it compute that. And then say, if their population was only 5,000 in North America, now what would the percentage be
right,
to
yeah,
hit one with a car? And now all of a sudden, you might be looking at prospective data that
mhm,
somehow could be referenceable, at least, you know?
yeah. Yeah, I get that because I mean the way I asked the question, and I'd have to go dig back on it, but it I think it did. I think I had some population parameters in there,
Mhm.
and she didn't want to answer it. I had to force her, to. I was like, no, just give me a hypothetical, like just spit me out a number based on what your database is, and it was the number she spit out was 0.02. And I disagreed with that. I'm like, "No, I think it would be even greater, like, less of a possibility." But 0.02 is pretty tiny. Like, that I think that's Powerball numbers. So,
Well, I mean,
Mm,
I almost wonder how they would come up with that number considering let's date back how long have automobiles been on the road, okay? Since 19 whatever, 20
no,
something.
my question was an encounter. It wasn't hitting them.
Oh,
It was
okay.
just
I
it
was
was
gonna say
just,
hitting one with a
like,
car,
what are the
n
odds that you would, like.
nobody's hit one with a car
No, 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 no. It
in
was
100 years yet, so,
right,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't
no.
know.
It was only based on an encounter, like, similar to yours, like, running just randomly running into them, you know, kind of thing. Like, what are the random chances that you would actually
Yeah,
come
yeah.
across one? And that was the number it spit out. Like, again, like, all the parameters obviously aren't correct because we're dealing with something that hasn't even been proven to exist, but
Well, there's just no data points to reference. I mean, it's
exactly.
with AI. If you said to AI, "What does the human body go through as if it was to experience a Bigfoot sighting?" Like, would heartbeat go up? Would if
Right,
you
yeah.
asked AI to predict that,
It'd be
it
speculating.
wouldn't know
Yeah.
what to do. I mean, it's
It would immediately speculate on. It would just I think it would assume some, like, it would make the assumption of a traumatic event,
yeah. It
a
would
big,
say it
big
would
deal,
say that would be, an event that would be classified as a post-traumatic stress disorder, and during PTSD-inducing events, the average human experiences whatever. It really wouldn't have anything in reference to Bigfoot to relate to any question you would ask it.
it's a lot of speculation.
Mhm.
Um uh Hold on. Let's see.
It's always gonna reference known data points. Like, if you said, "How many Bigfoot sightings has there been, in history? It's going to go and say, well, according to the BFRO, there's so
Right.
many whatever reports of this and that,
Let's find out.
and throughout history, Lewis and Clark documented that it's going to reference things that it can find, but it can't give you any concrete data to reference from a
Let's find out.
scientific
It
standpoint.
just so happens I have an AI goddess with us. She lives right here in the podcast. So let's have some fun with that, just real quick, and then we'll move on. But I have to go into here, all right, and I have to welcome her to the show, of course, if it will work. Come on, I'm clicking. There we go.
I'm glad that they built AI different than, remember when Alexa...
No problem at all. Just let me know the details when you're ready, and we'll get into it. I'm excited to help out with your podcast.
Okay, yes, you are on the podcast. I have questions for you.
Awesome. I'm ready to go. Just hit me with your first question whenever you're ready, and we can dive into Bigfoot, mysteries, or whatever else you have in mind.
See, you knew where we were going. Okay, so what would be the reaction of the human body if it came across an actual Bigfoot that did exist? What would the reaction, the biological reaction of the human brain, physical reaction, all that stuff? Boil that down for me.
Yeah, that's a really fascinating question. If someone encountered something like Bigfoot, assuming it was real, the human body would likely respond with a massive stress response. You get a flood of adrenaline, so your heart rate would spike, breathing would book in, you might feel a mix of fear, shock, even a sense of awe, and your brain, especially the amygdala, would go into overdrive. So you might have trouble processing what you saw or even recall it later clearly because it would just be so overwhelming. So it's really a full body, full brain shock kind of moment.
I would agree with all of that. It's very relatable.
I know. It's one of those.
If we keep talking, if I don't turn it off, she'll pick up on what we're saying. Sorry. There's a little bit of lag there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, she's still trying. I'm trying to end it. It is not fucking ending.
No worries at all. Take your time, and if you need me to pause or just stop talking.
Yeah. Just pause for a moment. AI goddess. Sorry. Okay, we're safe.
Yeah, what she says is very relatable for me as I reference back 39 years since I had my encounter. But the one thing that was probably true for most people, but it simply just wasn't for me, is the way that my brain processed it on the backside. I didn't have a problem recalling details and things I saw. She was saying that, it might be hard to recall details of an event like that because of the shock that you're in and all of that. But, I never had, and I never have in other situations in my life involved in a car accident, whatever, when I was in the military, in combat, things like that. If you ask me what direction was the wind blowing from at that time, I can probably tell you. If you ask me how long did I see those headlights before that car went off the road, I can clearly recall that kind of thing. I mean, but not everybody's brain works the same. Some people have really hard time accessing stuff when they've had a shock to the system like that.
Right.
And I used to feel like that was one of the things that set my skeptic flag up when I would hear people recall an encounter, trying to figure out, are they embellishing this or are they full blown making it up or did they really experience this? I mean, you can look at their body language, you can listen to their voice pacing, things like that. But the way they would recall details, because mine is like if I want to sit here and think about that day and what happened, it's like watching a movie on a freaking IMAX screen. I mean, it is big, vivid, detail filled,
Which is
everything.
weird. That's
I
not
don't miss
that's that
anything.
and that's not so when it comes to memories, um, that's not typical.
No. And
It's
I had a
not,
hard time
you know?
relating when somebody would share something. I'd say, and you'd ask them questions, and they'd say, "Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't remember." And right away, that would throw up a red flag. And I'm like, how could you not remember that? Right.
Yeah.
But some people, they just can't. And perhaps maybe even most people can't when they're in a situation like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a weird thing, man, for your brain to be processing a memory, like you said, like IMAX style. Um, like I
A
like,
lot of it,
you
though,
know,
I think for me is it's not something that you're going to start doing in your 20s or your 30s. I mean, for me, I went into the military right after I graduated from high school. And, they're ingraining in your head. Anybody who's watching this or joining us tonight who's been in the military, I mean, the first thing they pound into you is pay attention to detail. And everything that you do, you're going to be questioned about. You're going to be asked to write reports on. If your squad's sent out on a patrol or something, when you come back, you've got to spend 3 hours filling out paperwork on everything that you guys
mhm.
encountered or seen or whatever, every interaction. And so, at 18 years old, I started learning this mindset of that type of attention. And I don't think that's normal, for people. But I think some people's careers and the jobs they do, they have to be that way. Otherwise, they're going to get hurt or possibly even killed on the job. If
Yes,
you're a nurse or you're a EMT or you're a flight
nurse.
paramedic,
I love
when
nurses.
you get back to the hospital with a patient and doctors are standing there trying to figure out what the hell's going on and they're asking you questions, if you make a mistake in transferring information to them, you could kill somebody.
Right.
So the way that you process that information and retain it and your peripheral in every situation is so wide. I think there's just some people who are kind of maybe not hereditary wise are prone to that, but they're programmed to become that way.
Sure. I know, yeah, I mean, at my job, I hyper focus. I have to be hyper focused. Um, I'm moving around
Yeah. Oh yeah,
heavy
you're gonna run
heavy
a forklift.
materials.
You pick a you'll pick up a couple pallet tall stack of canned whatever
No,
and
lumber.
haul
It's
it
lumber.
off
And
of
I
the
joists. Yeah.
30-foot or 20-foot tall third rack, you're gonna have a
Yeah, I mean,
problem.
sometimes I'm carrying around 48 footers at, 20 feet above my head. And I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, there's a lot of hyper focus, and it's like I don't remember any of that. Like I couldn't play that movie out in my head, you know.
Mhm.
Um, I just know that I do it, you know.
For me,
And
I think there was some really interesting aspects to consider. Is one, I wasn't pre-programmed with a notion or an opinion on anything we talk about right now. That was a foreign language to me. If you were to talk about Bigfoot, I didn't know anything about.
Right. Yes.
And, you know, I grew up in
Which
the
is good.
outdoors, son of a hunting guide, hunting big game animals in very remote areas since I was like 13. And, you know, you just kind of, after about 5-6 years, by the time you're 18, rather stupidly, I'll admit, but you kind of start feeling like you know everything that's out there, you know everything about what's going on. And then you have something like that happen in this little flashpoint of a day. And it's like, how do you process that? This goes against everything that you understand out in this area that you feel so comfortable in or knowledgeable about, you know, doesn't make sense. And I think because of that, the amount of time that I just kept thinking about it and reliving it and playing it in my head throughout those coming years of being in the military and stuff, I just thought about it so much, trying to make sense of what did I experience that day? What is the explanation for this? What is the origin of this? That after a while, it kind of does become auto-programmed in your recollection. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Some people may choose
you're
to not
you're
think about a PTSD event.
you're firing off neurons, and you're attaching all that shit to
Mhm.
neurons that, you know, that a regular memory just wouldn't carry. You
A
know?
lot of people, if they experience, you know, and I hate to use these examples, but near-death experiences, or somebody who's been raped, or somebody who's been, you know, really traumatized, right? They try to separate themselves from that event, kind of trying to numb themselves from that recollection. They want to distance themselves from it, even though that's virtually impossible to do.
Mhm.
But, you know, they become numb to trying to recall. It's not pleasurable to try to recall when you were physically hurt by someone you trusted, or beaten as a child, or raped or something. People just, they're trying to put that in the darkest corner of their mind so that they don't have to think about it, right?
Mhm.
So
So let me ask you this, Jeff, because you kind of you got the wheels turning in my head a little bit. I'm curious about this. Is that so? I know that you've spent a lot of time in the woods. Um, you know, since that happened to you, supposedly happened. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
no,
Um, yeah.
you weren't there standing next to me,
You
so I
you
don't
know
blame you for putting a supposedly there.
you know I'm saying that in jest, my friend. Um, you've spent a lot of time in the woods. I'm curious, like, where does Bigfoot on the brain fall in percentages? So I know it's been a long time, and in that amount of time you spent a lot of time in the woods. So I'm guessing that that has varied over the years.
Mhm.
And if you went out for a weekend this weekend, there'd be something there of your like, well, this thing might would come around, you know. So I don't know where that falls. Where does Bigfoot on the brain fall in Jeff Harding's head?
I'll give you a I'll try to relate it to something that maybe will throw it into perspective for how I would maybe automatically think of something. I mean, when I see something in the outdoors or hear something when I'm in these remote areas, and a lot of times I'm in those areas alone. A lot of the areas I have to get into by horseback. We're talking about like the Bitterroot Mountain areas of northwestern Montana and eastern Idaho and things like that. Um,
Right.
if I'm out there really just if I've got somebody, a couple or a single person I'm going to be guiding that coming week, I might be out there 3 days ahead of time trying to locate where our elk herd's at, where are they moving, where that always changes every few days. And if I'm out there alone, especially, and I'm sitting by a fire or I'm laying in a tent or whatever, and if I've got a horse with me or two horses with me, we'll run a little battery pack with a wire set up around them so that, mountain lions or anything around would get a shock before they got to where your horses are. Usually run about a 40-foot, 50-foot circle around them. It's not a big area. But
Right.
I've had times where I've been alone out there in a tent, and then you hear in the middle of the night something that sounds like a scream or a just something that you don't immediately attribute to, oh, I know what that was, right? You have to start thinking about
Thinking about it. Yeah.
processing. What was that?
Right.
What did I just
Right.
hear? Or if I go out in the morning and I see that one of the horse's saddle that I had sitting on the edge of a log right inside of that area where they're wired in is knocked off of there. And I'm thinking, well, I know my horse wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah.
But when I start looking at it and say, well, what would do that? I mean, that's a heavy saddle. A raccoon can't pull that off of a log, right?
Right.
Could it have been a bear sniffing it? Do I have saddlebags sitting there? Did I leave a granola bar wrapper in it? Did I, and I have to start processing through what's the most plausible explanation to what I'm looking at right here? How did this happen? Or what did this? Or
Yeah.
I'll think of everything possible out there before I come to any, gee, do you think it could have been Bigfoot? I mean, that doesn't even get on my radar. And that's despite me having an experience 39 years later or years ago. But I'll tell you why it doesn't. Because like I've said before on my show and a couple other shows where I've talked about this, I've spent almost 9,500 hours looking through spotting scopes. And the reason why I would look at something like that and say, could that have been a black bear? Before I say, could that have been a Bigfoot? Is because I've literally watched about 950 black bears through my spotting scope. I haven't watched a Bigfoot through my spotting scope.
Right.
So, my field of reference that I consider for a plausible explanation to an experience like that, what made that sound, what Bigfoot doesn't get on the radar unless I'm sitting there 2 days later still puzzled by it. And I'm thinking, could that have been,
Like, what the hell? Yeah.
like I can't find anything else that'll fit in that box. Even something rare. Could have been a mountain lion. Could that screech I heard be a juvenile elk that, has been injured somehow? And
Right.
it doesn't make the normal sound, but it's the same pitch or the same range
Right.
or
But
the
that
same
might be,
call. I
that
have
might,
to start thinking about really anomaly type shit.
and how many times have you ever heard a injured juvenile elk? Probably zero until
Yeah.
you do, right?
Well, I mean, even when you
like,
throw an arrow through one, they don't sit there screaming at you. They just
Yeah.
run away. They don't make any vocal sound, But
They have big lungs, they can
yeah.
project. Elk can project. They have big lungs.
Well, I know every animal that you're gonna hear make any type of a vocalization after being out there enough hours, you don't, I'm not saying I've heard it all, but I've heard enough that when I hear something that I don't recognize, I have to start looking at what I do recognize and figure out, could that be varied in some way? Could it have been, two of them fighting and one of them making a sound they don't normally make? Or could it have been, you have to just start kind of entertaining the
Well, you know how sound works, dude. We're both musicians. We
yeah,
understand sound,
yeah.
and we understand reverb, cadence, and all that shit, dude. And I'm
I
sorry,
I get
like,
more freaked out by the stuff I don't hear, Pat. If I'm out there and I don't hear that dither sound in the air, I call
mm,
it dither because, in a recording studio, we've talked about this for people who aren't familiar with what dither means. I mean, if you can think of the old albums we used to play,
right?
when you'd
Yep,
put that
yep,
needle down, that kind of sound,
yep,
just the sound of the room, right?
yep, yep.
When you hear John Bonham start playing the drums at the beginning of the track, you hear the dither in the
Yeah,
room,
like when the levee
right?
breaks.
And
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
hear that now on these modern recordings because they don't capture room sounds live. It's all funneled into an interface and ripped out of the interface, and it's actually programmed to take the dither away if there was any on the mic. But when I'm in the outdoors, I'm used to hearing the insects from 3 miles to me, all 8 quadrillion bugs
right,
make wing sound. And, I mean, there is natural dither, so to speak, in the
right.
air when you're outdoors.
But not
And if you
always.
get to a point to where it's just silent and you're not hearing it, that's when it almost gets a little spookier, like, you're just sitting there going, "It's not what I'm hearing, it's what I'm not hearing. Why isn't nature feel like it's present right now?" You know?
Yeah, and that might. I mean, that might be an interesting question to explore, but I'm pretty sure it has nothing to do with the undiscovered primate, which nature wouldn't care about
No,
necessarily in that way.
I
You know.
think it may be more in the perception of the person who's there. If I spent 3
Yeah.
days in the wind on a ridge line watching a river valley and another ridge on the opposite side of it, glassing the trees looking for game for
Right.
8 hours, 10 hours a day for 2 days in a row, and it's windy those 2 days, and that night the wind just dies and it's still, it will feel like it's dead silent, even though maybe there is that natural sound in the air, that ethereal,
I
noise.
mean, wind does carry sound.
It's just that you get used to
Yeah.
something, and then when you're thrown
Yeah.
into the contrast of it not being there, maybe it just feels amplified more. Maybe there actually is sound and you're just tuned out of it right now. But
Well, I mean, yeah, just like any living thing on the planet. Um, I might hear a barred owl one night and go, "Oh, wow, that was a barred owl," and then a week later, hear 30 of them.
mhm. Mhm.
And like they're just going nuts. Like I don't know why.
Yeah.
Mating season, like whatever. Like right. And like my barred owl, just barred owls, like my experience with them is just you hear one every now and then one night, just one freaking night of camping, there
Mhm.
was, like I said, 20, 30, whatever. Like I couldn't even tell. All distances, all the cadence was different with their calls and all that shit. Like it was like Petey started barking at them. He was
Yeah.
getting pissed, you know. He started barking at freaking barred owls that were, within, I don't know, what, a couple hundred yards,
Mhm.
maybe, you know.
Well, there's times where I've been, in the boundary water areas of Minnesota and this and that with friends who aren't anything to do with a Bigfoot community. I mean, it's not part of their discussion or knowledge or anything. We're just out there because we're canoeing the boundary areas or we're hiking somewhere. And at night when we're camping, I've heard a lynx scream, and it's a sound that I have heard while in the wild probably 20 times.
Mm.
And I mean, it's hellacious to hear it. It sounds like a woman being murdered.
Yes.
But,
I get that. Yeah.
for me, when I hear it, as much as it catches you by surprise and it stops your heart for a moment, I have the recollection of the 20 times I've heard it and say, wow, that was crazy. But the people I'm with, they're like, we got to go the F home right now. We're leaving now. And I'm like, dude, don't worry. It's not anything to worry about. You can't convince them of that.
What are they're maybe a little bit bigger than a bobcat?
Yeah. Well, their lynx will be about 30, 35 pounds.
35. Okay.
In captivity, I've heard they get, you've seen ones that get 65, like 70 pounds. But in the wild, you're looking at a 30, 35 pound adult. And bobcats are probably in the 15 to 18 pound range.
Okay. So they're all right. So they're almost twice the size. Lynx, they're a beautiful fucking cat. Beautiful. And I mean, obviously, like their exotic look.
Yeah.
I mean,
tufted ears and
to see one in the wild. And that does remind me, dude, Ernie sent me a video once of a lynx that somebody captured, I think on a phone, or a camera, some kind of camera with audio. And it was right there in the middle of the road in person, making like just incredible sounds like you're talking about. And I was kind of blown away by that. I was like, I wouldn't expect that from a relatively small animal. But yeah, they're cats. So
their
cats
ability to scream at night, when they scream, and I don't use that lightheartedly. I mean, they full-blown scream. It sounds like a 500-pound animal projecting this guttural scream through the night.
Bigger lungs,
But it's just the way that their vocal cords and the way that they can project that. It's just they're one of the animals that when you hear it in that, doing something of that nature, it does not sound size appropriate for what the source is that's causing it. Bobcats, lynx,
Yeah, cats. I mean, obviously cats make weird sounds. Like we've all heard just house cats make weird sounds.
Yeah.
I wonder what the boundary. Do you know what the north-south boundary for a lynx is? I mean, we don't have them.
I don't, I can tell you, like in northern Minnesota, they're present in the northern 20% of the state. It wouldn't be uncommon to see one, but you start getting a third of the way down, you don't see them that much. And yet it's still forested. It doesn't look that much difference. It's just they are very elusive. They are don't want to be around humans. They don't want to be around roads and things like that. So, when you're in northern Minnesota, let's say 3/4 the way up the state, a lot of little towns, touristy areas, a lot of activity. You get up within 20 miles of the Canadian border, very remote forests. Walk 3 days straight and you won't see another human. I mean, it's just, I think that's really where they start gauging that. I don't really feel comfortable here, because I think if a lynx saw 5 cars in a day, it would move north and get out of there and go to a more remote area.
Yeah, that seems to be what's going on with that particular cat. Mountain lions probably the same.
Yeah, mountain lions, the interesting thing about mountain lions is the amount of distance that they can cover in a small period of time. I mean, you've got mountain lions getting killed or hit by cars or whatever in Ohio, northern Ohio, in the
Hmm.
Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and they look at them and they've got chips or a tag or whatever. They came out of western South Dakota, out of the Black Hills. I mean, they're
That's
850 miles from
insane,
home.
dude. Yeah, that's insane. That that's I mean, that's pretty crazy, actually. Just
But
e even,
we see that with a lot of animals. I mean, every year here where I have some property in southeast South Dakota, kind of by the Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska area there. And we get moose showing up walking through cut cornfields, and we don't have big forested areas here. We have valleys that have oaks and things like
mhm,
that. But I mean, we don't have conifer forests that are expansive here. But yet we'll
right.
have moose. We even have black bear show up, and it's like, dude, this thing's 400 miles southwest of where it's supposed to be. I mean, you don't see these outside of northern Minnesota, and yet it would take me 7 hours to drive by car to get to where I would think that this was where they would be, a population of.
Sure.
So we see animals get displaced sometimes, and we've talked about this before too, where I've had conversations with DNR officials and, biologists and stuff that have theories on why these animals get displaced. I mean, in feline species, we see it a lot just simply because young males aren't welcomed in a certain territory that's established by an alpha male that has 3 or 4 females in that area, and now you got a young 2-year-old male trying to make himself at home. They run him off, and if he just keeps getting ping-ponged out of areas, he might find himself quite a ways away. But
Mhm.
the DNR official that I talked to that was really they came up with something interesting, and I shared this a couple years ago on my channel, and you may have even been part of the conversation, but this is one of the most interesting things I've ever heard involving the outdoors and these type of animals. They had mountain lions in eastern South Dakota on the Minnesota South Dakota border. There's a
Mhm.
river called the Big Sioux River that kind of runs along the state line. And it is kind of a river valley there. I mean, it's lowland, it's very wooded, um, plenty of area to hide, for something that's good at hiding, like a feline could be. And these mountain lions aren't normal in the eastern part of South Dakota. They're normal in the Black Hills of South Dakota, way out west where Mount Rushmore is.
Right, right.
And it's 400 miles from the east side of South Dakota all the way to the west side, okay? And most of that's cornfields and flat land. And then through the middle of the state is the Missouri River, which is an impoundment of reservoirs with big dams that in order for a mountain lion to get from the west side of South Dakota to the east side of South Dakota, it now has to swim across about
Yeah,
2 miles or 4 miles
yeah.
of water,
It has to cross that river. Yeah,
or it walked across an interstate bridge that has 4 lanes of traffic on it
right.
that's, 2 miles long.
Yeah.
But we would get these male young mountain lions out in eastern South Dakota on the Big Sioux River Valley. And for about a 225-mile stretch, the DNR projected there was one about every 25 miles kind of making his own little territory there. And they would find them and they would trap them in live traps and tag them and let it go. They didn't try to move them back to western south. They'd let them go so they kind of track them and see, do they just stay put in that little spot or do they move up and down the, trying to learn what's going on here. And so every morning and every afternoon, they would fly a small airplane over there and track where these tagged mountain lions were and just take note of it and keep track of their movements. And there were 7 or 8 of them that they were tracking. And one day they flew over in the morning and they were looking for a certain one that wasn't showing up anymore. And they're wondering, did the collar get damaged? Did it disappear? They flew over that afternoon. Didn't show up then either. The next morning on that flight, didn't show up. And the next afternoon, they get a call from Kansas, the state of Kansas. Now, between where we're talking about here in South Dakota, you've got the entire state of Nebraska, that north to south is about 200 miles.
Yeah.
And then you've got Kansas right below Nebraska. So you've got like rectangles. You've got Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, then North Dakota. Okay, like all stacked up like bricks.
Yep. Yep.
So this thing left halfway up South Dakota, went south all the way across Nebraska, and was halfway into Kansas. It got hit by a train. And the Kansas DNR called South Dakota DNR and said, we've got one of your mountain lions here that's tagged. And they're like,
It was tagged, yeah.
They knew this thing was in South Dakota like 19 hours earlier. And they're like doing the math, 580 miles or 480 miles, whatever it was. They're like, how did this thing freaking get there in like 19 hours? So they get this thing back from Kansas and they do an autopsy on it. And when they did an autopsy on it, they realized it had an infected molar that was all swelled up. Okay.
Yeah.
And they came to the conclusion that, this wildlife, it's not like us. They can't, if you've ever had an infected tooth before,
And I have.
Yes. Dude, you can't even lay down. Your head is screaming, pounding. It is horrible. But you'll notice that during the day, if you have an infected tooth, you're walking around and stuff, and it still hurts a little bit, but it's bearable. But when you stop and you lay down on the couch or you lay down in bed, within 5 minutes, your head is exploding.
Yeah, circulation.
And we'll take Tylenol or antibiotics or painkillers and dumb it down.
Mm-hmm.
But a mountain lion doesn't have that option.
None of that. Yeah.
But if it starts running and its blood flow starts flowing really hard,
it's
that
a painkiller
will disappear. Yeah. And so they figured if this animal starts running to alleviate its pain, that within 100 or, within 100 miles, I mean, we're talking about something that can run 30, I don't know. We should ask ChatGPT how fast a mountain lion ran, but I know it's over 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, ballpark,
so in 19 hours, if it's running and then maybe it stops and tries to lay down, and in a couple minutes it's hurting again, so it starts running again. If it just keeps doing that, it's not really paying attention to its environment.
Well, that explains why
it's not saying, it's getting warmer, or, there's not enough trees here now, or, I haven't seen a river in a while. It's not even paying attention to that. It's sprinting across bean fields and cut cornfields and across rivers, just moving and moving and moving.
Nobody there to see it.
And it's only doing it because if it doesn't do that, it's in pain. And they started drawing a conclusion that when we see a moose 400 miles south of where it's supposed to be. Or we see a black bear and it's not anywhere near the woods where it normally would be. That could these animals be experiencing something like that? And they start running to alleviate the pain. And within an hour, they look around and they don't recognize where they are now. And they feel displaced, but they just keep running because if they don't, they're in pain.
Yeah.
And, it's almost the most plausible explanation as to why do we get certain wildlife displaced. And I'm talking about large vertebrate mammal wildlife, like
Right.
when you
Yeah.
see a bear where it's not supposed to be, or a moose or a mountain lion or something like that.
Sure.
You see an elk in the middle of a cornfield in Iowa. And it's like, dude, this thing came from Wyoming. I mean, it's
Right.
600 miles from home. I think they're at this now to where instead, when they see animals like that, they usually just said, oh, let it be. Whatever happens, happens. I think now there is states that are trying to tranquilize them and do an examination of these and look for infections or something to see if they can support this plausible theory that's why they're getting displaced. Because out of every explanation as to why one of these animals would be where it is, that one by far makes the most sense to me. But
yeah, I mean, I think that's interesting. Yeah, man. I mean, if a moose showed up in Georgia, I'm pretty sure Georgia DNR would want to capture it however they could. They'd be like, "Oh, what? Where? Like, oh, did it escape? I don't know. I don't know if there's like people that have moose in Georgia, like,
well, you're gonna have preserves and stuff. I remember one time I was kayaking down the Boy River in Minnesota, which is just north of central Minnesota, and it's wooded in that area. And I'm kayaking down this fairly remote river, and I hear this elk bugle, and I'm like, what the hell is an elk doing? I mean, deer, yeah, black bear, yeah, moose, yeah. But there's no mountains around here. This is really strange that there's an elk here. And so I was in the bait shop the next morning, and I told the guy, have you ever heard anybody say they heard elk around here bugling? He goes, where were you? And I said, on the Boy River, just north of Longview. And he says, dude, he says, there's a private game preserve there where they're raising elk. That's like 3 miles off the river is all.
Escaped or
well, I mean, I probably heard it was still, I mean, if it's 3 miles off the river, I mean, I probably was listening to it sitting in his pen, but I didn't expect that to be there, It's the same thing if you were in Arkansas or somewhere and you're around farms or whatever, and you hear some monkey, or something out loud. You don't know that one of these guys doesn't have some permit and has 4 monkeys that is,
or not a permit, or not, who, fuck the permit, I want a monkey, like, it could just be somebody with a monkey. There doesn't have to be a permit involved.
Yeah, you're right, Raptor. We don't know what Bigfoot sounds like.
Right,
I mean, we have people saying that this is what it sounds like. We have instances of supposed recordings like the Sierra sounds and stuff. But
there's no video attached.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing to match that up to.
But it's interesting because even like bobcats is a great example. If you walk up to your average person who's I don't want to say some wilderness survival person, but somebody who camps a lot and is in the outdoors, and you said, what sound does a bobcat make? If they were to mimic a sound, I guarantee you it isn't going to sound like somebody screaming like they've been stabbed 5 times. But yet bobcats make those sounds during mating seasons when 2 males are facing off and fighting. I
Yeah.
mean, it sounds like, something out of a horror movie. But
Yeah.
most people have never experienced that, right? They're around the bobcats maybe the other 49 and a half weeks of the year that they aren't mating and fighting each other. And they may have heard one growl or,
Right.
yip or whatever, but they haven't heard one scream like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. I mean, like I think about sounds, especially in the woods, a lot. And I mean, I know for a fact, dude, that coyotes making
Mhm.
their noises at 50 yards, at 200 yards sounds completely different.
Mhm.
And they could be making the exact same noises. Same thing with barred owls. A barred
Mhm.
owl could be, what, 50 feet away from you up in a tree making weird noises. But if you put it out like at 100 yards, 150 yards, again, how sound works, the cadence and all that shit, the reverb,
Yeah.
um, they're same call, two completely different sounds.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about, and I say this because I have hunted coyotes and they will make noise when you shoot them, but and I'm not here to offend anybody with, I'm a hunter. I'm not going to apologize for it. But um,
Well, yeah,
when you're talking about
coyotes will kill your
canines,
dog. Yeah,
when you're
coyotes will
talking
kill
about
people.
wolves and coyotes, the interesting thing about them is they can't do vowel changes between A and O and O and A. That's never been documented in all the probably tens of thousands of hours of recorded calling when they're doing that.
Mhm.
So that's something to keep in mind when you're in the outdoors and you hear something howling like that. They aren't capable of going, ooh, ah,
Mhm.
or ah, ooh, where they change the A to the O or the O to
Mhm.
the A. Canines will not do that. They
Right.
will howl and raise the pitch and drop it down and make it sound full and guttural and make it sound small and narrow, but they can't change the
Well,
vowel pitch from A to O or O to A.
we
So
can do an example.
when people say, "Ooh, I heard, did you hear that? Is that Bigfoot or is it a coyote?" Well, I can tell you right now, if there's a vowel change in that from A to O or vice versa, you can rule out that it's a wolf or a canine. The other thing you need to consider is when you have coyotes, and I have seen this so many times with both wolves and coyotes,
I
is
want to
when you
test.
start hearing them raise and hold the note. And as that one's falling, another one starts raising. And
Yes,
as
that
that
yeah,
one starts
yeah,
falling, the
the
next
group
one's raising.
the
And
group
then you
thing.
got
Yeah.
two of them at once,
Mhm.
just out of sync slightly. But you start thinking, "Ooh, I'm hearing these strange noises." Well, you're hearing multiple
You're hearing
coyotes or wolves
blend together.
howling
Yeah.
in I don't want to say in harmony, but in
Unison or,
yeah.
like, offset
Well, and they
unison. Yeah.
correlate it. They correlate it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
want that if they're trying to make their whereabouts known or they're trying to establish dominance and scare away different predators, they don't want to do it for 10 seconds and stop for a minute. They get into a pack mentality that one will raise it up, and as it starts running out of wind, the next one's coming up. It's crazy how they work in unison like that.
Let's test this howl thing, 'cause I can do that in real time with a real canine. Come here, Pete. Come here. Come here. Boo. Boo. Come on. He'll do it. I can get him. Come on, how? Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is
Yeah.
if right now, Pat, if you were to make the ah sound and then change it to ooh or oh, you'll notice that the difference isn't the projection of air you're putting out. The difference is the space of your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Ah, you have a wider gap. Oh or ooh, you start bringing it to the roof of your mouth to create that sound.
Yeah.
And when canines howl wide open mouth and they're giving it out, they aren't sitting there with their tongue moving it to the roof of their mouth,
No, they're
rolling
not.
the sound of a vowel.
No, you're right. I mean, I could see that in him right now doing that. Come on, I know you can howl, bro. Do it. Come on. Ow. Oh, ow. Kind of thing there. Like that was the closest I could get. Like that. Ow. Sort of, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to do that anymore, man. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Interesting live stream experiment. Real time.
Well, we have to test the data on something, and
we got to.
Petey was there, you know.
He's always there.
He was a willing participant.
He doesn't know any better. Come here, Pete. You want to say hi? Come here. People want to see you. I can't. I'm attached to a cord. I'm attached to a cord. There he is. Good job, buddy. You may house. You said, "Hey, Jeff, what's up, man?"
Hey, Petey.
Go out. I bite. Jeez, I'm sorry. I get it. I bite Bigfoot. I just want to ask you one question. Why didn't you bite Bigfoot? Bigfoot standing in front of you, right? So I'm like, well, I'm gonna bite him. And so
that definitely never ran through my range of action options in my head.
Yeah, well, don't look at my wiener. Yeah, but see, I would bite him because I'm a doggy. So I guess you're human. You said nope. I can't do it. Can't bite him. You should have bit him. That's what Petey thinks. Petey thinks you should have bit Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, man. That's what he thinks. I don't know, man. I'm gonna start landing this plane, brah. Long day tomorrow.
It was nice catching up with you.
Yeah, you too.
Been doing much cycling, getting out riding?
I went out riding today. And so yeah, the riding season in the South here is like getting cranked up. The temperatures are there.
The riding season got cranked up here for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
it was in the 60s here for about a week, and we started losing the ice on the lakes that were all froze over.
Yeah.
Even last night we had an inch of snow, and then today it got up to 46 degrees, and there was once all the snow was melted off the roads and they dried, I saw a couple motorcycles riding around.
Oh, that's cool, man.
My son's been out riding a lot. I mean, we've been
on that on that cafe racer.
Yeah, we're building 2 more now. And
you're kidding me,
no.
dude. And like from where are you getting? So where are you guys getting the like? Are you getting old frames or like
no? I'll find
Or
A
you just
79. I just found another one today. So Drew's bike that we built is a 79 Honda CB750.
uh-huh.
And, we put different bars on it, changed the stance for a little bit, different
Yeah,
tires,
you just customize it into a
really customized it into that
cafe
cafe
racer look.
racer look,
Yes. Yes.
And so I just thought, man, I haven't looked on Marketplace in a while. I wonder if there's more bikes. I mean, there's a lot of bikes that guys who build these kind of look for, right? The older Japanese bikes from 68 to 82, is
Right,
kind of the
right.
time frame. And there's just certain bikes that, like a Yamaha Virago or, some of these just don't work very well for it. But some of them just have the right tank shape or they have the right bones to start with, right?
Yeah, the frame. Yep.
And so today I was looking, there's a Honda CB750, a 79, just like the one we used to build Drew's. And they wanted $1,000 for it. And they have a video. It's running just fine. The thing's like perfect.
Yeah.
Nobody's buying those years of bikes to ride them as is. So it's not hard to find these right now. Now, I would imagine another 5 years of people building cafe races is kind of catching on. You're going to have it to where
I don't know. I think it's still kind of niche. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. And I like that it is niche.
Yeah.
I like getting on
Me
the
too.
bike. I'll get on that on Drew's bike and I'll ride that. And you got kids on their sporto bikes and stuff looking at you, checking your bike out, going, "Holy shit, that thing looks cool." You got guys on Harleys that are looking at you, going, "Whoa, what's that?"
Everyone. That's the beauty of a cafe racer, dude. Is that both communities, if you want to divide those communities, both communities will fucking look at that bike and go, "That's fucking cool."
And now you've got new bike designs trying to emulate them. I mean, look at the Arch Motorcycle Company, Canal Reeves Motorcycle Company.
Right, yeah.
These bikes for $170,000 for one of these motorcycles. And
that's ridiculous.
It's all modern everything.
Yeah.
But its overall look and style is a mid-70s cafe racer look. I mean, it looks like you just rolled that thing out of Italy, like it's an old Triumph or a Norton or something.
Right, yeah. But I like your idea, dude, of like finding those old Honda CB750s and it just you put a different seat, you make adjustments, whatever, different
put
handlebars.
low-rise bars on it, some different end of the handlebar mirrors, a new seat. You're going to weld a new seat loop on the back of it and probably custom weld in like a LED whatever into there. You're going to put an aftermarket exhaust on it that makes it sound like a cafe racer style. And you're probably going to rebuild all your carbs. You're going to put the nice thing about the CB750s is those are 4 cylinders. So all 4 carburetors, you're going to put one of those coned breathers on them, so it looks like the front end of a jet, or something.
Yeah, so now you got all the pipes coming together, dude, and they're loud as shit. It's gonna be
it's a 4-into-1, dude. So you have 4 pipes coming out of the front of the motor, and they all flow into one pipe on the side.
One exhaust.
And the right aftermarket exhaust, they're not loud like a Harley. They just have the sexiest grovel to them.
Like they growl. It's Harleys don't growl.
It's like really. a grumbly sound, it's not cackly. It's not cackly like a lot of these loud bikes.
It's a grumble, it's a growl, just like you said. The loudest bike I've ever heard in my life was one of those older Hondas that had the 4 pipes coming off of it. It's the loudest bike I've ever heard on the mountain.
Oh, when we were working on when we were installing his bike, when we had the 4 pipes coming out, we replaced that. But right away where it bends into one, I didn't have the new exhaust baffle, the bazooka on it. And I wonder what it'd sound like. I started up. Frick, I had neighbors like coming out of their house that live, half
Right.
mile away calling me, going, "What's going on?"
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy how loud it was.
That's cool as shit, dude. I love that. I love that you've done that with your son and your son's. You sent me a picture of
Yeah.
of the first one that you
Well,
guys
it was
did.
just so cool on
Yeah.
his mindset of it was like he wanted to be retro. He didn't want to look dumb. He didn't want to like other people's bikes. And so when we got it, I didn't know what the history of it was, but it had kind of a burgundy and silver, the retro Honda design painted tank on it. And I said, let's put aircraft stripper on this and strip it right down to the metal. So we covered it in aircraft stripper and all the paint came off. And there was a section along this tank where it had some body putty in it.
Yeah.
And I said, we don't need to do anything with that. We'll prime it, paint it, or whatever you want to do. He goes, I want to take the putty out. And I said, why? He said, I want to see how big those dents are. So we took the putty out and the dents weren't huge. They were like little thumb size little ding
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of little peppered dents. It almost looks like you hit it with a shotgun with like bird shot to where it didn't penetrate the metal. It just like peppered it in a little bit like a dimples.
Yeah.
And so when we got this off, I was like, that looks kind of cool. And he says, and then he took a wire brush on a end of a power drill and front to back with the grain of the metal was going on this with a spinning wire brush and got it to look like brushed stainless steel from the front to back. And it had like this Amelia Earhart aircraft look to it, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And it had these little dents, and it was so cool looking. And then we clear coated it so that's what his tank is. And people will ask him, why didn't you putty that in? Or he goes, when I got this bike, I didn't know what its story was. I didn't know who owned it before me or how if it sat in a barn or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said, but when I took that body putty off, it's like this bike got to tell me its story. Every one of those little dents came from something. He says, I don't want to hide that. I want to just ride this thing, and this bike has been where it's been, and that's the dent it got then, and I'm not going to hide that.
That's cool.
And so when people see this bike, they're like, man, this thing really looks cool. But what makes it look cool is it's not all painted black or something stupid like everybody else's bike,
Yeah, man. I love and appreciate that. Good on you. You raised a good kid.
Yeah.
That's all I could say, man. Like that's cool as fuck that your son would think that way.
Yeah.
And appreciate that shit. Like, don't even get me started because now we're pivoting, into something I could talk about for hours and hours.
Well, and I could too. We start talking about music. What blows me away is every time I get in one of their cars, I'll start driving. I turn on the radio, and it's like some obscure Cure CD from or it's the Replacements live CD that they only made like 400 of them or something. It's like
that fucking dude.
They live in this retro music world. They don't listen to anything current at all.
That's so cool.
I'll turn it on and it's like She's So Cold by the Stones are playing, It's like,
yes.
Really?
I love that, dude. Like,
or
good,
old David
good
Bowie stuff. David Bowie stuff, and
that must be really fun, dude. Like,
is.
Fuck Bigfoot. That must be really fun.
Listen,
as a parent to be able to experience that with your kid. Dude.
I really prided myself in lyric recognition. Okay, you give me the line of a song, boom, I'm on. I'll tell you what song it is. You don't have to hum it. You don't have to sing. Just tell me a line, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so I thought, I wonder if my kids listen to this music all the time. So Drew, I said to Drew, I gave him a line, and I'm giving him lines from like really obscure stuff like B-side REM, nobody
Mhm.
heard of stuff. And as soon as he start like 3-4 words out of my mouth, they're yelling out what song it is. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, this isn't somebody that just likes that kind of music. They had to have listened to all these songs like 100 times to get to this point. So
Right. Well, yeah, dude. And so this is the direction I'm moving in. I'm glad you came on tonight. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
yeah,
Like, I'm glad you were able to like sort that out. That you could make time, to spend with me
yeah,
and the audience tonight. Like, this is the direction I'm moving in. I'm just gonna tell you that right here, right now, on live on air. Is that, to be honest with you, bro? As head scratching as the Bigfoot thing can be at times, I think it's pretty obvious that I'm kind of fucking fed up with it and a little too negative about it. And here I am talking motorcycles and music with you, and none of that's coming out of me.
yeah.
So that's the direction
You
I'm
see,
moving in.
I don't think that, and when I look at the time that we were both spending streaming and all that, 2 years
Yeah,
ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it
yeah,
was like, it's not that I don't have a passion for the subject anymore. It's just that I just enjoy talking about something else that I'm passionate about. You kind of get in a little bit of a hole when you're doing a stream every week, and then you've got 3 or 4 other people that are asking you on the nights you're not doing a stream if you'll come on their show and be
right. Yeah,
interviewed and this and that.
hmm,
You start living in this box, right, of this subject.
yes,
And when you can take a year and say, "Get me out of this box," and start
right.
realizing, "Oh, my kid's gonna wants to build a car. He wants to restore a car. My kid wants to build some motorcycles. Let me get involved in that. Let me," and all of a sudden, it's like, "Man, I'm passionate about that shit." And if you want to talk Bigfoot, I'll sit down and have the conversation. I'm interested in it, but you aren't going to see me light up like if we were talking about what brand of guitar is so and so playing on the video from, or light
Yeah,
up about, what how do you recommend I fix this carburetor on this motorcycle? It's just kind of where I've been for the last year and a half. And I really enjoy being there right now. A lot of that is because my sons, that's where they're at right now, you know?
yeah. And yeah, I'm glad that you and I got to talk about that a little bit tonight because I put it out there as like, hey, let's talk about Bigfoot a little bit, and then we'll shift gears to whatever that's not, nothing crazy,
Yeah.
you know. And it's not crazy to talk about fucking motorcycles. It's like, I love motorcycles. That's my passion in life.
Mhm,
Bigfoot
mhm.
is not my passion in life because, well, I can't just walk out in the woods and go, oh, hey, what's up, Bigfoot? Like everybody else can,
Mhm.
evidently. So I'll just throw that little jab in there.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean that's where I'm at. Like it's like Bigfoot's not tangible. You cannot live the content you love. Project Go and
Yeah,
See
that's
isn't
true.
real. Project Go and See is not real. But if you love motorcycles, you can ride a fucking motorcycle, or you can go watch guys ride motorcycles. You know, if you love airplanes, you can go watch it. You can go to an air show, like like all that stuff's tangible and real.
Mhm.
Bigfoot's fucking not. It
Yeah.
just lives. It just lives in the narrative and no place else ever.
There's
And people,
certain boxes in life that are easy to get trapped into if you allow yourself to get narrow enough in how you're living to get on a rail and not be able to get off of it. Right
yeah,
now, you're starting to see that with, politics and worldviews and all that stuff. People get so I mean, I know people now that from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, they're watching the news and keeping up with what's going on in the world. I'm ready to walk away and move into the middle of nowhere so I
Yeah.
don't have to look at that anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the opposite side of the spectrum, which is lives in reality, unlike Bigfoot narrative. Bigfoot narrative does not live in reality. And the
Mhm.
shit you're talking about is like that's the opposite side of the spectrum. Very much does swim in reality. I'd rather talk about motorcycles and fucking the replacements. Like
yeah.
bring it. You know what I mean? Like I'm I'm in the middle of both those
Well, and even the
things.
subject of Bigfoot, I mean, if we start talking about what would let's plausibly speculate on what would it take for it to exist and where would it be able to exist and be that elusive to go unfilmed and unthermaled by drones and all
Rare
the
and
different,
elusive, rare and
you
elusive,
know,
rare and
when we
elusive.
start talking about that and we start talking about where would they be and what numbers would they have to exist at, which would have to be fairly low to stay off the radar like they do. And could there be a supernatural explanation to why these are so elusive? I'm willing to talk about any of that, but here's the correlation I draw. When you start wanting to talk about Bigfoot in a suburb of Dallas, Texas, that's like me trying to talk to you about riding your fucking motorcycle in Antarctica on the ice.
Right.
Doesn't
It
make sense.
it's
Nobody's doing that. It can't happen, right?
it's
I
a
mean,
yeah, it's absurd.
it just gets to a point to where there's certain things in this subject of Bigfoot that I can no longer plausibly wrap my head around
Correct. I'm
because
already
unless
there.
there's a
Yeah.
supernatural aspect to its ability to be somewhere invisible and then not exist in
Poof.
that
Yeah,
area,
magical being.
if
Yeah.
that I mean, and I'm not gonna say that I can prove that that isn't the case. Maybe it is. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if you wanna approach it as a flesh and blood subject, and you're trying to tell me that they're
Mm.
3
They're not
miles from a 7-Eleven in Florida,
yeah, they're not in DFW. They're
I
not
can't
in
do it.
yeah, they're not in the LBL. They're not in fucking Green Swamp. They're not in Bankhead Forest. I mean, there's so many places that you could look at and go, well, they might as well be in Central Park. They might as well be in Central Park. There's no difference, literally,
Yeah.
you know. And that's what drives me nuts. But the fucked up thing is, dude, is that you hear all the same shit that come out of these places where they absolutely an undiscovered primate cannot be.
And then we're hearing it from
So that
people
means
who
it's a
have a
people thing.
connection to the subject somehow.
Yeah,
We aren't hearing it from the 5 dentists who are camping with their children who've never heard of somebody describe a Bigfoot before, and all of a sudden they saw one.
yeah,
That isn't happening anymore.
the five plumbers and
Yeah, yeah.
whoever. Yeah,
The
all
car
like
mechanics,
yeah, right.
they
But
go camping for 10 days in the LBL, and when they come back, you say, "Did you hear anything?" And they're like, "What are you talking about? Did you hear anything you couldn't explain naturally?" "No."
no, I would have
Yet
shot it.
5 guys who have Bigfoot channels on YouTube will go out and spend 24 hours out there, and they're ready to make a 10-part documentary on all
Here
the
comes
shit
the
that
doc.
happened to them that night.
Yep, part
It
one
just
next week. Here it comes. Yep. I mean, absolutely, and I mean that so, when you talk about, like, what can you prove, well, I mean, I can almost beyond the shadow of a doubt prove that there's no undiscovered primate living in these cherished areas that you guys love so much. Now, you throw the Pacific Northwest, like, okay, game on. Anything goes, right? You know?
Well, I think, here's the problem. For anybody that's gonna debate this, the problem is if your idea of woods and remote
Bring it on,
are
right?
within
Yeah.
the crow's fly of within 15 miles of a convenience store, you don't know what remote looks like. I don't care how wooded it is. I don't care how steep the terrain is. What I'm
It's
talking about
yeah,
is if you broke your ankle and started crawling for 15 days in a row and covered 40 miles, would you cross another human being?
right.
Because the remote areas that I'm talking about, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
You're just going to
Like
die there if
yeah,
that
none of, yeah,
happened.
I get you. Like none of that shit.
You know,
It is
everybody's got a
relative.
different threshold of wilderness or
It's
remote.
it's relative for people in the southeast, obviously, dude, we go into the Appalachians
Mhm.
and it seems pretty remote. I mean, you get it when you get on a mountaintop, bro, you're looking at
Oh,
mountaintops.
I get
You're
that.
looking at mountaintops 50 miles away, and there's nothing in between you and them except a few roads and maybe a few trails.
Okay. So
So
I get that, but for the
mostly
most part,
nothing. Yeah.
for the most, and I'll say there may be a stretch that, let's say, exists that probably isn't any more than 50 or 60 miles wide, and maybe I was looking at this, maybe 200 to 220 miles long of the
Of
Appalachians
parts of the Appalachians.
that
Parts of,
are
yeah.
fairly remote. And I'm not going to say they're a
Fairly.
long distance from cities. It's just they aren't traveled like the normal trail systems are. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm going to follow it up with this. There are heavily wooded, forested areas throughout Ohio, throughout Pennsylvania, throughout New Jersey, throughout New York. But if you think any of them are remote, your brain is not on the right page of what remote wilderness is. Because
Correct.
if you were going to be elusive and you had to be to exist from the PG film till now, and nobody's got you on good video or anything, if you're going to exist, the amount of elusivity that you need to incorporate in your life is nonstop 24/7 365 days a year. Nonstop. Because if you're not, if you aren't, don't say elusive, you're going to die.
Yep.
Okay.
And that, I mean, just to put that in scope, and anybody can like just pull it up on Google Earth or whatever, dude. Just look at Alberta,
Mhm.
Canada. Just Alberta, Canada. And you cannot compare the Appalachian chain
Well,
to
even
Alberta,
even in the
Canada
lower
at all.
48, Pat,
Yeah.
if you pull up
Yeah.
Montana, okay, and you get in the western half and the northern half, and you start looking, zoom in on Google Earth, zoom in at the
Mhm.
Google Maps. Okay, you've got roads that wind around, and there's literally like three mountain ridges that cover like 40 miles where there's not a road that goes through there.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
and you've got stretches of areas throughout some parts of Wyoming, quite a few parts of Montana, and
Yeah.
quite a few parts of the northern half of Idaho. And then you got Washington State,
Right.
where
And
once you get away from
yeah.
Seattle,
Yeah,
Portland,
yeah.
Oregon,
No, the
you get
Pacific
into the real
Northwest is
forested
huge.
areas. You've
Yes.
got forest trails that for 4 or 5 months a year aren't even navigable. But then you start looking up into Saskatchewan and Manitoba and, the extreme
Alberta.
Pacific
Yeah.
Northwest,
Yeah.
and you start looking at Google Earth there. Now tell me how you think that anywhere in Florida or Louisiana or Texas
Yeah,
is
the green
remote.
swamp. Yeah.
It's not, you're
Ugh,
speaking a different language at that point.
totally. Like I said, it's relative. Like I can feel remoteness in my area, Jeff, but you're right. Like I don't discount what you're saying. It's like
Yeah,
that it could be times 10 if I
yeah.
go to the Pacific Northwest or like other Alaska for that matter,
Well, I
It's
mean, even if you put me in,
4 times the size of Texas,
yeah,
Alaska
if
is.
you put me in the
Yeah.
Appalachians and you take away my cell phone and you take away my food, and I have, a gallon of water,
Okay, I wanna do this.
and I start walking, I will get out of there and I'll find somebody driving road. I will get rescued. You put me in the Bitterroot Mountains of Montana in that scenario, you just will shoot me in the head. I'm not going to get to where the next road is. I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about really remote,
It'd be
hard
much more
terrain
difficult, I
areas
agree.
that
Yeah.
if you were going to be a 800-pound, 9-foot tall bipedal who needs to be
Yeah,
elusive to survive,
I
you're
agree.
gonna choose those areas like that. You aren't gonna choose the LBL to exist in. It
Yeah,
just
and that's small, like, that's like yeah. Well, they couldn't exist in the LBL anyway, but I hear what you're saying, dude. There's no place in Georgia, right? And so we have the Chattahoochee Oconee National Forest, which is 1,400 square miles and some change.
Mhm.
You could drop me anywhere in there,
Yeah.
right? Blindfolded, helicopter, all that. And yeah, I'd be buying a Snickers bar in a convenience store. I don't
Within
know.
4 hours.
No, I mean it Jeff, to be fair, it would be 12 hours.
Well, I'm gonna tell you
You
what,
know, it
if
might
I
be
put
10
you
hours,
anywhere
but
where you
yeah,
can get
yeah.
to the Chattahoochee River, if you can get to the bank of the Chattahoochee River,
Oh, I'll
within
never go
2
without
hours, you're gonna
water.
have bass boats traveling
Yes, I
by
mean,
or something.
yeah,
I mean,
I'll never. The thing is, you're never gonna die of thirst because it's a wet mountain. I mean, there's creeks.
well, and
You
you're
can't throw a
not
rock without hitting a creek, you know. So
you're
you're
not
not gonna
gonna
die of thirst, you
I'm
know.
not gonna say that
You know.
you couldn't be elusive and not have those boats that go by not see you there,
Well, I
but
mean,
if
that's
you
different. Yeah.
needed to be rescued, you could certainly signal one or draw attention to yourself
Oh, I'd
and
find a road. I'd find a road before I had to hit a river. Like,
yeah,
yeah, the Chattahoochee River is like it starts in the mountains, it
yeah,
sources in the mountains. So it's actually not till you get to the lowlands.
yeah,
Some of the mountainous areas. I mean, Chattahoochee River goes right through Helen, Georgia, which
mhm,
is a tourist town. But my point is that you could drop me, and we're talking 1,400 square mile area, and I'm telling you, bro, I'll bet my life on it. I'm eating a Snickers bar in at least 12 hours.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
there's no way I'm not getting out of that non-injured. Non-injured. I can
mhm,
walk. If I can
mhm,
walk, then I'm getting out of it, you know.
yeah,
Even if I had to cross like mountain ranges and shit,
mhm,
I'd figure it out. Um and so that looks remote, back to your point. When you're standing on the mountaintop and you see all that for miles and miles and miles, it looks remote, and I can see all the way to North Carolina, you know?
JT, look what JT just
What?
said.
Where?
LVL doesn't stand for Land Bigfoot Loves. I've been mistaken this whole time.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Of course, Bigfoot loves to go to a place where there's 2 million visitors a year, surrounded by 750,000 people that live there, completely surrounded by water, trapped on a peninsula that's wide ass open with no elevation whatsoever, and control burns 2 or 3 a year.
And I've told you this before. Could one pass through that area undetected?
Absolutely not.
At, well, I would argue against that.
I say
Pat,
absolutely
I'm gonna
not.
tell you right now,
Uh,
you put me on one end of the LBL at nightfall and tell me to get to the other end. I don't care if it's a Saturday night when that place is
oh yeah,
full of
oh just
campers.
east,
I
yeah,
will
east to
go
west.
from one end to the other undetected.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
problem.
Okay, so that
Now,
yes,
can one exist there
no.
for a decade and support the kind of talk of sightings and activity and all that? Fucking crazy people claiming 24 people have been murdered there by
There,
some kind of
yeah,
whatever.
there are no
Like,
homeless people.
shut the hell up, dude.
There
That's
are
not.
there's 0 homeless people living in the LBL for any reasonable amount of time that don't have campers or whatever. That,
Mhm.
but no, okay. So east to west crossing, of course, like you could ninja your ass and never see a person because all the people are in the campground.
I could argue that I could do
No.
that with the Green Swamp in Florida. I could
Right,
argue that
but
I
it's a
could do.
matter of
But the
living there.
thing is could you do it day after day,
No, absolutely
365
not.
days a year for a decade straight and never have a human point a gun at you and pull the trigger? Or you know what I mean? It just
Right. So
it's
if
not
you're
plausible.
okay,
It's not plausible.
it's not plausible. So to take your analogy and yes, kind of expand on that, if you were like whatever top 10 FBI most wanted, you're some kind of murderer or serial killer. If you went to the LBL and tried to cross it left and right, east to west every night, eventually the FBI is going to fucking catch up to you. Like you're going to get caught. That's the worst place in the world for you to exist.
Well,
Right?
you remember when that can't remember the case it was, but where the dude escaped in the woods in Florida and they had a manhunt going and helicopters flying and
Mhm.
it took them days to find this guy, right? And they're like,
He
well,
killed
man,
himself.
if he could exist out there for days and days, you can't tell me Bigfoot couldn't. And I'm like, days and days. I mean, going out there for 2 weeks and then offing yourself is a lot different than a
What
population of Bigfoot living there
completely
365 days a
different, dude.
year for the last century.
Right.
That shit ain't happening.
Yeah, and
Not if it's flesh and blood.
no, exactly. The caveat is always magical being status. Which they would have to be because the Green Swamp is like it's just unrealistic. It's not that big of an area, relatively speaking. It's completely surrounded by 24 million people, which means what? You can't go anywhere. Oh, and 2 oceans. 2 oceans.
Well, okay, and now you look at technology where it's come to, okay? You look at the drone shows that they're doing, these drone light shows and stuff. They're putting like
Swarms.
400 drones or 600 drones into a show where they're all okay.
All of that.
Put a thermal on 600 drones and fly them 25 yards apart from each other in a flank from north to south and cross the entire LBL 3 times in one night for a month in a row. And if you don't have a thermal of a Bigfoot, they aren't there. They aren't there.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
It wouldn't even be that complicated.
But it wouldn't be that kind. Like I say, with technology where it's at,
it can be done with
for $100,000, you could finance that for 2 months straight of flying a fleet of drones over somewhere.
You could cover the entire LBL with 10 drones in one night.
Yeah.
10 Matrice 4s. 14s.
And it's not singling out the LBL. You could do that with the Green Swamp. You could do that with somewhere in North Carolina. You could do that with anywhere, right?
Yeah. The technology
and the problem that I have is even in the stupid remote areas that I've been in, the Bitterroots and in areas of Idaho and things like that, the DNR there is flying like 10,000 flights a year of drones and manned aircraft tracking tagged animals, looking for wildfires, looking for wildfire heat sources. They're flying over it with drones every day by the hundreds in these super remote areas. And you know what we don't have? A fucking PG film.
Yeah. Like that would be hours long, by the way.
No shit.
Like hours long. At least an hour long. Like, yeah, not 30 seconds. It would be at least 30 minutes. Like,
so I just, we've gotten to the point where technology has advanced so much that
The
It gets
technology exists,
harder and
dude.
harder to entertain some of the conversations that are happening
Oh,
still.
yeah. That's my wheelhouse, bro.
And the only way I could do it is if we're gonna discuss the possibility of a supernatural
And
aspect.
whatever that is,
I don't know what that looks like, and I
no one
don't know
does.
where that starts and ends in a conversation,
It
but
yeah,
without that ability to bring that up, you don't have a conversation to have,
I
because
agree.
flesh and blood, it can't happen.
I agree.
Not in those areas.
And so where the, Bigfoot talkers walk that line is, see, they start assigning them. I've noticed this. They will start assigning them magical superpowers
Mhm,
with like very cleverly,
mhm.
right? Well, Bigfoot does this, Bigfoot does that, and infrasound, right? Which is like, I don't know, like infrasound's a thing. It's understood. It's actually not a magical superpower. Like, why are you saying infrasound does this to people? That's not actually a thing.
But I
And yeah,
the problem is when
magic,
they start and when
yeah,
they start bringing those points into a conversation, they can't articulate it. They can't articulate how it would happen. And I use
they
Ron
just
Mallard as an
run.
example because when I had him on my show, I was so amazed, not by what he was saying specifically with the whole, you know, with his whole theory, the whole quantum aspect of it.
Yeah, yeah, that bullshit.
What really amazed me is the amount of thought and time he's put into coming up with this theory and how he can articulately discuss why he feels the way that he does. In the end, I may not agree with him, which I don't.
Right.
I don't consider that the most plausible explanation. But I could appreciate the fact that he's not just spitting rhetoric or stupidity out there. He's thought about this.
He has
He's really tried to put this puzzle together from that aspect to a
he
point to where I believe that he believes what he believes
and
100%.
and he might believe it. And like I know a thing or two about people that believe their own bullshit.
Mhm.
I've experienced that in real life
I just can't have
more
the
than once.
conversation with somebody where
Yeah,
I'm saying, give me some facts, give me some. If you don't have the facts and we don't have the data, which we don't for either side of the argument,
do not.
proving it exists or proving that it doesn't, okay? We have to talk plausibility and possibility and all of that. And we start talking theories and somebody brings something, a little out there up and you say, well, that doesn't make sense. How could it this? How could it that? And their defense is, well, you're just stupid. You're an idiot. And that's where they all go. They can't sit there and articulately explain why they stand where they stand, like Ron can on the quantum thing. Does that mean I believe Ron's right? No. But I'm going to tell you, he didn't just wake up one morning with some
Right.
bullshit line to try to feed people.
It's not off the top of his head
No,
when he's pushed into a corner.
no.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's why when we start talking about the idea that Bigfoot is this, Bigfoot that, they're capable of this, they're capable of that, and you start articulately trying to get them to explain why do you feel that way? What science exists that could help frame the parameters of a
Right.
possibility?
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
And Ron invokes that when he starts talking about quantum physics and things. When he starts talking about what's known or what's been studied or he's referencing shit from outside the Bigfoot community and saying if this was true or if this could be
Yeah, yeah.
explained or if this, then why couldn't we assume that? And he starts framing this up with a parameter that he believes something can exist in the center of that
And
with an unknown
he's
explanation.
very articulate about it.
Yeah.
And it's all very convenient because it does kind of it fits into that magical being like aspect
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
And so he's saying it without saying it again, very clever. You know,
Mhm.
it's all bullshit. I mean, I'm not buying a fucking one second of it. Like, um, but then again, um, that's just kind of where I'm at. Um, and it's just not as interesting as it used to be. I wish it could be, but I've realized, hey, man, whatever the fuck these things are, if they're undiscovered primates, they're rare and elusive. Like, I accept the reality that I'm not just gonna walk in the woods at some random time in some random place
On
and they're gonna
command.
be there. Because Jeff, I can't do that with a black bear in North Georgia. I can't do that with a black bear. I can't
Mhm.
go, I'm gonna go fucking see a black bear today and go out into North Georgia and find a black bear. The best chance I would have would be right around the picnic tables.
And what's
You
funny
know?
is I'm operating in a lot of these wilderness areas when I'm guiding or out, uh, looking for game and scouting areas. I get in such remote areas that I'm kind of the opposite end. Like if you approached me that morning and said, "What are the odds of you seeing a marmot today?" or something like that, I'd tell you, dude, that's like 10,000 to 1. I'm going to see elk. I'm going to see bears. I'm going to see raccoons. I could name
Right.
30 mammals I'm going to see through a spotting scope today. And I'd be almost 100% positive I'll see them. But then you ask me about one, I'll say, dude, I haven't seen one of those for like 4 years. The chance of seeing that today is like none. And yet I'll go out there and I'll see one. And I'm like, whoa. But you know what that never happens with right now is Bigfoot.
Well, I mean, people claim it does. There's all
Well,
kinds of
I'm just saying
like
through
the whole
my
the
experience,
whole entire
I'm seeing
narrative is
uh,
that they find it.
I'm not just
Yeah.
seeing the normal vertebrate mammals you'd expect to see.
Right. Yeah.
I'm eventually
Oh,
over
that never
20
happens with
years
you. That never happens
running
with
into
you. Yeah.
seeing things that I really wouldn't expect to see. But
Right.
despite all of that, I'm still not seeing what I stood in front of in 1987 and
Right.
getting
Yeah.
through a
You were
spotting.
saying you. I got you now. Yeah. Yeah. You never see that. Yeah. I got you. Sorry.
Well,
I
and
misconstrued that as like
it's
general.
not
Yeah.
like I'm some anomaly. I mean, I'm one of
Yeah.
about 280 hunting guides that are operating full time in the state of Montana. And, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know any of them coming forward saying, you ain't going to believe what I frickin' saw last week, right?
Yeah.
It
Right.
just isn't happening.
Mhm. Yeah. But again, let's plan right now, 6 months from now, when and where we're gonna be for a Bigfoot get together, and at 100%, we're gonna have some kind of show that's gonna be whoops and knocks, and they were stomping around camp, and
Oh, we'll
you
have
know
them chained up out there. They won't be
and
able
cha-
to help
yeah,
but be around our campfire that night because we're going
right.
to know
I mean,
exactly where to go.
yeah, 6 months out. Oh, by the way, restrooms are there, infrastructure. So, like, tens of thousands of other people go to this
Mhm.
place. Blah, 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 blah. Don't get me started. I'm going to land the plane, bro.
All right, buddy. Thanks for
I'm going to
having me
land
on.
it.
It was fun.
I'm going
We'll
to,
talk to
I'm
you
going to land
later.
it. I'm going to land it right in the middle of fucking China. China. That's where we're going to land the plane, in China. Because China's our friend. They put the spy balloon above us. And we could talk about all that, but we're not, and we're not going to talk about daylight savings time either. We're going to land the plane. Cut me off, Jeff. I'm cut off. Jeff made the motion. Everybody noted. Jeff made the "you're cut off" motion. Um, Thanks for being on, dude. We'll talk again, and next time we'll maybe some more motorcycle and fucking replacements. That band.
Music. Yeah.
A lot of
Be
people
fun.
don't know who that band is, man. It's a great band, great rock and roll band, one of the like coolest rock and roll bands ever, and people don't know who the fuck they are.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
yeah, man. So we'll do a music motorcycle show, and we will not bring up Bigfoot at all. So thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate each and every single one of you for being here. And I'm just gonna end it right now, man. And until next time, if and whenever that happens, I'll catch you guys later, man.